scientists in Antarctica accidentally released this monster. On February 13th, this Google Earth image capturing what looked like a giant spider was posted online by a user named Sonophanton. The user went on to describe how his father experienced strange things while stationed as a medical doctor at the McMurdo base. As the only doctor on site, the user's father was said to double up as a pathologist and often receive bodies that seemed like they were attacked by something very large, but strangely enough, was always told to report the cause of death as hypothermia. As the user's father started digging into things, he realized his access was slowly being revoked, and soon his superior told him that he was going to be discharged shortly. However, after the base heard about what happened to the user's father, a troubled soldier he had been treating recounted how he and his team were attacked by spiders the size of greyhounds while defending a research base, and that his entire team was taken out, with him being the only survivor. Even though you can watch the full video by clicking on the link in the description below, many people are wondering if
they are poisoning you. So, did you know KFC's chicken isn't as real as you might think?
No, I don't.
So people are discovering that KFC's fried chicken doesn't behave like natural food. To prove this, they buy a piece of chicken and leave it out at room temperature for 24 hours. After 24 hours, they check to see if it decomposes or changes. Look at this video. They left it out for 24 hours and it looks almost the same. No rotting, no signs of spoilage, nothing like what you'd expect from real food. And this is what we're eating. If you look at the packaging and ingredients list for KFC's chicken, you won't see a lot of transparency about what's really in it. The preservatives and additives used in this chicken are designed to extend shelf life, but they also prevent it from decomposing like natural food. Take a close look at the ingredient list on the packaging. It includes a lot of chemicals and preservatives with long, complicated names. These additives keep the chicken from spoiling, but they also mean that what you're eating isn't just simple fried chicken. The breading and meat are loaded with substances that inhibit mold and bacteria growth, making them almost indestructible by natural processes. So the next time you or your kids crave KFC, think about what you're really consuming.
Can you please explain to me in detail the event that occurred at Vandenberg Air Force Base?
Certainly.
I've been waiting for this for seems like my whole life, and I literally fell out of my chair.
They observed a very large red square, estimated to be almost the size of a football field, approach the base from the ocean and hover at low altitude over one of the launch facilities.
The radio transmissions start to pour in.
As it became closer and closer to our position, it stopped and hovered right over the coastline. There's no propulsion systems, no lights, no audible sounds, and it just hovered there.
And then just all hell broke loose.
There was a lot of chaos.
These are people I'd spent years with, and they're not people that are easily frightened or intimidated. And they were terrified, and they were screaming for help over the net.
This object remained for about 45 seconds or so before darting off over the mountains.
It just shot away up the coastline. It seemed like 1,000,000 miles an hour, like it was shot out of the cannon, and then it was gone. I mean, personally, I can't explain it. I've never seen anything like it in my life. The way it hovered, to make no sound, to have no propulsion system. Our air
Proof Nicki Minaj is actually a time traveler. Watch
Good old
this.
Nicki. Here I am going to show you the biggest deception that has been fooling people for years.
Tragic story of Princess Nicki Minaj. She was a Cambodian Thai princess born in the 1920s who married King Kham Holland Vikor.
What's really going on?
It's the
Have
same
you
person.
seen that movie called Godsend? am starting to believe they've been telling us their agenda for the longest, but we always brush it off.
It's the same person. Doppelgangers are definitely a thing, but this is too eerily similar.
Might think that this is just a younger version of Taylor Swift, and that's just it. But despite their uncanny resemblance, this girl's name is actually Becky. There is a theory that Taylor Swift is the successful queen of a clone program, which sampled their DNA from this lady, Zena Shrek, the former high priestess of the Church of Satan. See the resemblance? Shrek was a pop star and the high priestess of the Church of Satan till 1990, and coincidentally Taylor Swift was born in 1989. Both Taylor and Zena used serpents as their symbols and have similar successful careers, crossing over from country to pop music, leading many to believe that Taylor Swift was created to take over where Zena left off. That's why I think.
You have a lot of great fans out there, and what they do is they find old paintings and old pictures from like the 1500s of
See, they're gonna laugh and joke about it, but
so they think that you've been on the earth since you've just been around. There's just different generations. I just wanted to show you, just we're all stardust, baby.
So did you know Kanye West actually saved Taylor Swift?
No way.
So Taylor Swift wasn't going to mention Beyonce in her Grammy-winning speech at all. Instead of everyone pointing out Kanye as the bad guy, Kanye said, "I will let you finish Taylor, but who had the best albums of all time?" Beyonce had the best albums of all time. That's what he said. And every single person, every single woman artist, and even some guys, they always thank Beyonce. Every damn time, from Lady Gaga to Miley Cyrus, Adele, Britney Spears. Yeah, he saved her life because he knew she wasn't thinking that deep. Why did the media try to portray Kanye as the bad guy who interrupted Taylor Swift? Because they're the ones who control this. And you know, if you go down to the rabbit hole of Beyonce, Beyonce sends flowers to all her artists to remind them that she still knows where they live, really. And so you know how Jay-Z has an album 444. Why is he obsessed with the number 4? Because it lines up to all the people that are on the canceled list right now, the ones that are pulling the strings, and the ones that everybody thinks is going after these celebrities. Beyonce born on what day? The 4th. Jay-Z born on what day? The 4th. Diddy born on what day? The 4th. 444 crews, they're all together. That's their thing that's crazy, but it's really weird too.
If NASA really went to the moon, you can't convince me that this is how they came back home. Because this is how we launched to outer space here on Earth. Multi-billion-dollar launch pads and support towers, massive fuel tanks, months of prep work, huge rocket explosion with a blazing trail of molten rocket fuel. Possibly the most impressive feat of modern human engineering that anyone could possibly experience. But on the moon, a tiny metal cabin covered in tinfoil with skinny metal legs sitting on an uneven, dusty surface just pops away and detaches, flying all the way up into orbit just like that. Like, listen, I understand the moon has only 1/6 of Earth's gravitational pull, and therefore requires much less force to reach escape velocity, the speed required to enter into a planet or moon's orbit. But something about this liftoff just doesn't look right. No blast crater, no scorch marks, no sustained burn time, no epic powerful rocket launch, just a quick spark and it flies straight up into the stratosphere, or the moonosphere, or whatever. I just have a hard time believing that 1/6 of Earth's gravity goes from a monumental rocket eruption like this to a simple pop and detach like that. And then after effortlessly breaking free from the moon's gravity, this lunar lander reunited with a craft that was orbiting the moon, which just clicked back together like IKEA furniture and then peacefully glided everyone back home with a splashdown in the ocean. Don't get me wrong, I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I do believe we went to the moon. I could be wrong though. There is a lot of sketchy business that went down with the moon landings, but overall I feel like the evidence in support of them slightly outweighs the evidence against it. Just my opinion, but something about this return back to Earth moon launch just doesn't sit right with me. This is one of those videos that I'm almost positive NASA faked just to flex their technical superiority to the world, most notably to the Soviets, who they were in a space race with at the time to intimidate them with their flight supremacy. Expecting to air this once or twice on TV, never to be seen or closely examined by people on a mass scale ever again. Not not anticipating that humans would be sharing and inspecting this footage 50 years later on the internet. But apparently, NASA is sending people back to the lunar surface with Artemis 3, set to launch sometime in mid-2027, but is likely to see delays, with Artemis 2 planned for the first quarter of 2026, which will see 4 astronauts sent to orbit around the moon and then circle back home to Earth over the course of 10 days. The first manned mission to the vicinity of the moon since Apollo 17 in 1972, which is exactly where this footage is supposedly from. And trust me, the tinfoil hats are going to be watching real close on this next one. I think it's high time we get an HD remake of this moon launch. Please make sure to pack your 4K cameras this time.
Dr. Brenner was a lot worse than you realize, and there's still a chance he comes back in the final episode. The last time we see Dr. Brenner, he's laying in the Nevada desert after being shot, and he has a bit of a redemption arc as he allows Eleven to leave. But if you don't know all the lore of Stranger Things outside of just the show, then you likely don't realize how bad he truly was. When Henry Creel was just a little boy, their entire family moved to Hawkins, which is after Henry Creel had already been in contact with that cave and been in contact with the Mind Flayer particles. Dr. Brenner knew this and completely manipulated the situation, constantly tempting him and trying to let him give in to the Mind Flayer. While Henry was trying to fight it and be a good person, Brenner wanted absolute chaos and wanted Henry to be completely taken over. He wanted this so he could study more about what the Mind Flayer was, because when he was younger, his dad got transported to Dimension X on accident and was completely taken over himself. And years later, after completely abusing Henry when Eleven came along, after Eleven sent Henry to Dimension X, Brenner somehow knew exactly what he needed to do and manipulated her to accidentally create the portal to open the Upside Down. He knew the entire time this was nothing more than a wormhole, and he was so obsessed with these findings that he didn't care who he hurt or killed in the process. But with all of the tech he had available to him, there's still a chance that he survived, and we see him in one final moment in the finale. Send this to a Stranger Things fan, and don't forget to like and follow.
Amelia Earhart is still alive. In 1937, Amelia Earhart attempted to be the first female pilot to circumnavigate the entire world. However, she wouldn't live to tell the tale. Well, you see, she took off from California in her airplane, the Electra, headed east, making it to Papua New Guinea, but shortly after that, encountered strong winds and lost all communications. With only 2 more stops in her itinerary, she disappeared, never to be seen again. Now, the working theory goes that she might have crash-landed on Nikomoraro, where giant crabs ate her, and this is supported by wreckage and DNA tests that were done in 2018 on the skeletal remains found. However, this leaked photo released not long after Amelia disappeared seems to show a female aviator and male navigator being held captive in Japan. And interestingly enough, the description fits Earhart and her navigator. So is it possible that?
What if I told you Michael Jackson might actually be alive?
No way.
That's right, the truth nobody saw coming. Ever since that suspicious funeral, nothing seems to add up. The clues are disturbing. A closed casket. How could the most famous pop star in the world be buried without anyone seeing his face? And why did the family, who should have been completely devastated, seem so calm? They weren't crying, some were even smiling. It looked more like a show than a real funeral, but what were they hiding? And that's not all. Some fans believe that Michael himself was disguised at his own funeral. At Con, one of his close friends said Michael was a master of disguises. He could have been there and no one would have noticed. Years later, his own daughter posted a picture, and in the back seat there's a shadowy figure. Fans swear it's Michael Jackson, but why has the family never addressed this? If he's been alive this entire time, what's really going on? Then there's the rumor of a mysterious man living in a small town, trucks pulling up, heavy security, and a neighbor no one ever sees. All of this matches the extreme security Michael always demanded. Did he fake it all just to disappear and finally live in peace? And now with Diddy's name surfacing in major investigations, people are starting to wonder, is Michael waiting for the right moment to come back and expose all the dark secrets of the industry? Is he just sitting back, waiting for justice? Did the legend ever really die? Comment Michael lives if you think the king of pop might be out there, and follow for part 2, where we'll break down each theory and reveal what really might have happened that night.
Good evening, this is John Lear, and today is March 22nd, 1989. We're standing just about 8 miles due east of Groom Lake, Nevada, the super government secret test site. And just a few minutes ago, we saw one of the government extraterrestrial UFOs fly over there. We all watched it for about 7 or 8 minutes. Right here I have my Celestron scope. It's 8 inches, and I had it focused in for about 15 seconds and saw for myself that in fact it was a disc. We're going to stay here for another couple hours here to see if we can show you folks an actual extraterrestrial flying saucer being flown by the government. So if you just stand by, and we'll be looking over that mountain, which is where they are. They also come over here, which is over at Bald Mountain. There's some lights over there which you can't see, but there are a number of trucks. We don't know whether they're looking down here or what they're doing up there, but we managed to get in here. We're standing on public land. It's completely legal where we are. And if you'd like to come here later in the show, we'll tell you exactly how to get here.
Well, you can mention who's with you, John.
We have Bob Lazar, and we have Jackie Lazar, Bob's wife, and we have Gene Huff. And this mission was organized tonight by Bob Lazar, who is a theoretical physicist who works at Groomlight.
And is also a dead man at this point. We're having this on film that he wrote.
Yeah, right. I'm happy.
You want your name on there that you're a physicist. We're out here with the late Bob Lazar.
Damn it.
Only classified document dealing with religion, and it's about that thick. Period. But why would there be any classified material dealing with religion?
I want to go back to the religion thing. I want you to say it.
Oh, come on, that's so weird. That's a lot.
I'm not asking you to say what you believe to be a fact. I'm asking you to say what you read in a report that is distributed at what may be the most top secret facility in the world. Okay. All right.
All right, I'll say it. It's so far out.
All right, your objection has been noted.
Okay.
What does it say?
That we're containers. That's how supposedly the aliens look at us. That we are nothing but containers.
Containers of?
Containers. Maybe containers of souls. You can come up with whatever theory you want. That we're containers, and that's how we're mentioned in the documents. That religion was specifically created, so we have some rules and regulations for the sole purpose of not damaging the containers.
The souls? Meaning,
well, the souls or the bodies, whatever. That's
meaning like we're containers for souls that they're going to use at some other point.
Right.
And that they had something to do with different prophets and biblical figures.
Yes.
What?
Well, that supposedly Jesus and two other beings were genetically engineered. They were implanted in people on Earth in biblical times, and their births were closely monitored. Now, just some little connections to that my wife had brought up were in the Bible. They said that the star had followed Mary wherever she went, and that all UFO sightings always start out as people, well, gee, that looks like a bright star, and well, in fact, they said in the Bible, the brightest star in the sky followed her where she went, and it just made little connections like that.
Okay.
I don't know what else to touch on.
It's a reactionless craft. It's a field propulsion craft. And what it does is it creates a distortion in space and time in front of it, where space actually bends.
It's just technology that doesn't exist yet. I mean, you're talking about that science doesn't even know what gravity is, much less how to produce it or control it. And here is a device that's producing it and controlling it.
Put a bowling ball in the middle of your bed, and then a foot in front of it, take your fist and push down on the mattress. Bowling ball will roll towards it. And that's exactly how the craft works. It creates a distortion right in front of it, and the craft falls forward.
So there's a different physics that we're...
Well, the science that explains how the technology works. I mean, it's all encompassed as one thing, alien technology and science.
What's the message of your story?
The big thing is the suppression of extremely advanced technology and the suppression of unknown science. That's it.
I think there's something suspicious about space. We're apparently moving quickly, orbiting the sun while it orbits the Milky Way while we're spinning. Right. So why do we see the same stars every night? Well, space is just so much bigger than you can imagine, so there's not really that much of a change. But over time, that distance would add up and the stars would look different. So how do we have the same constellations as people thousands of years ago? The first confirmed written star catalogs were like 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, and cosmically speaking, that's not that long ago. But that's enough time for stars to move. They have moved, slowly and in small amounts. This graphic is of Ursa Major 20,000 years ago versus 20,000 years in the future. There's a little difference. There is no way that 40,000 years makes that little of a difference. No, it's true, because even though we're moving quickly as we orbit the center of the Milky Way is huge. It takes 230 million years for us to make one full orbit. And 40,000 years is the difference from us being here to here. You can't really see a difference, but all the other stars are apparently moving too. Imagine moving a pea an inch and trying to notice from a mile away. So you're saying that the night sky is the exact same as the ancient people saw it? Yes and no. There are some small differences. There have been some really cool things like stars going supernova along the way, but in general, things look pretty similar. It actually doesn't matter what you say, because
and your wife started thinking that you were having an affair.
Yeah, apparently so. Now, I did give my permission to have, as part of the, security clearance process, I gave written permission to have the phones monitored and things of that sort. So they weren't doing any covert stuff. They, with any Q clearance, which is civilian top secret clearance or military top secret clearance, they go talk to friends and, places you've been, make sure you're not connected to foreign countries, but, monitoring your phone is nothing unusual. However, they insisted that, you don't even talk to your loved one, to your partner, to your wife, whatever, about what's going on. So she was essentially in the dark and didn't know the phone was being monitored. Well, part of the security clearance is that not only do you not have any connections to foreign countries and aren't a maniac, but you have to have a stable home life too. Well, she started having an affair with a flight instructor. Now, they were monitoring this on the phone, and they knew it and I didn't. So they stopped me coming in, and their attitude at the time was, we need to see how this is going to play out and if Lazar is going to get a little weird or anything. So let's just, hold him off from coming in and, see what happens.
And they explained this to you, what was happening?
Well, after the fact, yeah, because time kind of went on and there were guys that were following me around, and I started getting a little concerned, going, well, shit, are they booting me out of the project? And if so, they're not just going to let me hang out at home and go get a new job knowing what I know. So as time went on, I started getting a little concerned, and I took my closest friends and just kind of got together and I said, hey, remember that job I told you about? This is what's going on. And you don't need to take my word for it. Wednesday night, we need to all go out here. I want to show you what's going on. So I took everybody and we went out to, remember, since I had the test flight schedule, and went outside the base, out into the desert, and so everybody could see, one of the high performance tests. And, it left quite an imprint on everybody, so they knew I wasn't.
And there's videos of these tests, right?
Yeah, but remember, this is it's in the dark in the 80s with a big monster-sized camcorder, and you got, a bright light jumping around. But, yeah, I mean, we did video of it, but there's no, by today's standards, it's...
You filmed this test flight, one test flight, and then you get caught.
Actually, it was, I think, the third time, because we went out there the first time. Everybody saw it. Everybody was amazed because it did some radical maneuvers, and everybody had a lot
But
to say about it.
maneuvers that I've seen the video, it doesn't, I don't think there's something we have now that does that.
No.
In terms of like a human piloted craft. I mean, I don't know, obviously, with the government.
No, it's impossible. Nothing can move like that. And remember, we didn't start filming from the very beginning. We were waiting for something, to happen. The craft took off and then came flying at us, stopped, turned at a right angle, flew back, and then, after it did some, amazing stuff, we to get the camera, and then we started filming. So it doesn't have all of it on there; it just has some. They're essentially separated from reality, as crazy as that sounds, with being in case its own gravitational envelope. Inertia is not going to affect it, and this is how some of those recent sightings of Commander David Fravor, I'm sure you've heard of the Tic Tac UFO. I mean, he describes exactly, the thing operates exactly the way I was describing. That's why he was interested to talk to me. But we saw this, and, on the way home, it's like, hey, we got away with it. We should try it again the next test flight date. So this became a thing to do. And I think it was on the third time that we got caught. I mean, we started becoming a little careless. I think we took a motorhome out there. And, I mean, it was like the stupidest thing you could possibly imagine.
Started tailgating.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And
again, you're in your 20s.
Yeah.